Richician!
Hey Yugituber, Dark Richician 84, and welcome to part 7, where I talk about 2010, the year where I actually interacted with certain other Yugitubers, and the year of Edison format. But of course, before that, I decided to play a fun deck in a tournament. My Majestic Star Dragon deck. Wasn't expecting to do well, just wanted to have some fun. I didn't do very well, unfortunately, but it was fun. Yeah, I lost all my games, but at least I was able to bring Majestic Star Dragon out. Against Davies, I was able to bring it out on my very first turn. And then who did I play against next? It might have been Gillis, I don't know. I lost against Billsy for the first time ever. I know my fourth match was against Derek playing Blackwing, so it was a synchro showdown. But there was one point in game 2 where I summoned Majestic Star Dragon 4 times in a row. It was just nuts. And it just helped counter whatever he threw at me. But of course, this didn't last very long. In the end, he got me with a Sirocco Kalut combo. So, yeah, a dreadful run, but I wasn't bothered. Yeah, after that I decided to continue the goal of trying to win tournaments with Rainbow Neos and Elemental Heroes respectively. There was a locals in Bedford that I went along to, which I accompanied Derek and G to. I took Rainbow Neos along, but unfortunately I didn't do very well. I don't remember a lot of my matchups, I will admit. I lost against 6 Samurais. I think I lost against Macro Monarch. I know I went up against Simon Bailey, old friend of ours, who was playing a very unique deck, Gemini Hero. Yeah, it was just so cool and original, so much in fact that I went on to build my own version later in the year. But I did win against him, so it was nice to finally win a match. And then I played against a subscriber, Desfog for Game, playing Gadgets. We did try to have a feature match beforehand, but I was using Prismagician in that. But then the next round pairings were called, so we had to finish it there, and then got paired against each other right away, which was quite funny. But what wasn't funny was the fact that I bricked. Yeah. Twice in a row, I just had a really bad hand and just couldn't do anything, which sucked. I'm trying to remember if I played against a Gladiator Beast player that day. I don't know. And then the following day, there was a tournament around Derek's place where I took Elemental Heroes. Don't remember how I did though. I just remember beating Davies but losing against Gillis. Fucking macro. So that was that. And then a week after that, I played Rainbow Neos in a hall tournament again, where I just failed miserably again. I lost against a guy playing Flemville Monarchs. Then I went up against Billsy, who was playing Light Swords, which was different, and I was actually able to win the match against him, which was great. I was like, yes, I finally beat Light Swans with Rainbow Neos. But the rest of the tournament didn't go so well. I got pitted against two different zombie decks, one of which was a standard meta build, and I just remember this guy just taking forever to play out a turn, just doing a million things, building up to some synchros, while I was just sitting there being bored out of my mind, thinking, for the love of God, is this turn ever gonna end sometime this century? It did, but it resulted in an OTK. And I think that's when I started to really not like zombie decks. Well, not that much anyway. Well, apart from vampires and skull servants, like they're the only zombie decks that I think are really cool. Although nowadays Shiranui and Vendren I don't really have a problem with. Everything else is just fucking annoying, especially Mayakashi, aka Bone Tower dot deck and Zombie Horde. Anyway, getting back on topic though, I lost against that. Then I struggled against this kid who was also playing a zombie deck, but it was randomly playing D-Fissure, which just really threw me off. And Davies was going to ask what I asked, because Pete was watching, and he said, "Why are you playing D-Fissure in a zombie deck?" And he said, "Oh, I play it in case I play against Light Swarms." I mean, it's not a bad idea, but the problem is it doesn't complement zombie decks in any way whatsoever, because the whole point of zombie decks is to get them in the graveyard and bring them back and do some stuff to overwhelm the opponent, whereas Macro and D-Fissure just defeat the whole point. So yeah, I lost game 1 and I managed to win game 2 despite being stuck behind Grave of the Super Ancient Organism. Yeah, my Rainbow Neos was just completely paralysed. Like, there was nothing I could do, but at the same time, he couldn't get round Rainbow Neos. Or did he? I think he got rid of it, but I was able to bring out another one, and then I summoned Phantom of Chaos and activated its effect to target Rainbow Neos in the graveyard, banish him and copy his effect, and send a back row to the grave to get rid of his trap, and then I used the effect of my real Rainbow Neos to send the Phantom to spin away his monsters and attack the game. And then game 3 just overwhelmed me. I couldn't get any good draws and I just scooped. And I don't remember what my 5th and final round was against, but ended up losing that. Then a week later I went back to Prismagician and played in a tournament around Derek's place. I only remember 2 matchups from that day. Steve with a Chaos deck, which I beat. And then Timmy 2-0'd me with Gladiator Beasts. Yeah, got stuck behind Heraklinos again. Fuck my life. But something funny did happen that day. That was the very first time where I let one rip loud and proud at his place, which would go on to be a reoccurring joke between me, Davies, and Derek. And I think he wondered who the hell that was. And just for a joke, I decided to blame it on Timby. So I said, "Oh, Timby, that was disgusting." And then Blue walked into the room and he actually believed me. And he said, "Oh, fucking hell, Timby, what did you eat?" And then he went, "It weren't even me." But I did admit it in the end, of course. Then sometime between that and the next tournament, I started working full-time at the horse stables where I work at nowadays. Now, this unfortunately did mean I'd have to work on Sunday, so if there was a Sunday tournament, I'd either have to turn up late to it or just skip it altogether. Same with Saturday tournaments, because in the first couple of months that I was there, I had to work on Saturdays as well, which was unfortunate. Although I was just about able to attend the Sunday tournaments all the same. Yeah, I took Prismagician again to this one. I'm trying to remember my matchups. I think I went 2 wins and 3 losses. I know one loss was against Little Adam with Light Swans, and this was actually also the first time I ever played against Express Gaming. So yeah. I did see him around the tournaments, like I said, but this was the first time we actually interacted. I must also point out that I did actually meet and play against Gamer Central a couple of times beforehand, once in late 2008 and again some point in the spring of 2009. And I think he was playing Zombies both times, and I remember winning against him, but this was the first time I faced off against Express Gaming, and the funny thing was I didn't know how to say his name properly at first, his real name, but I would learn that like about 3 or 4 years later. But anyway, yeah, he was playing a synchro deck, which was very Yusei themed, and I managed to win against him with not too many problems. Yeah, I didn't make top 8, but I did, however, have a Yugituber feature match with Darkness L 1989. So this was the very first time we played against each other. And I remember game 1 being very back and forth. We were able to play at our best, but he won. And then in game 2, I bricked horribly. It was like fuck all I could do. And when I finally did have a play with Prisma, super polymerization got used on him. Yeah, that was some spicy tech. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Yeah, as you guessed, I was playing Prismagician, and he was playing Diva Dad. Um, so yeah, the second game was unfortunate, but it was a good time. Great match all the same. Um, then after that, I got tricked into trying to teabag Stevo. Um, uh, yeah, this was a funny video that I wish I kept, but oh yeah, the teabagging was something I forgot to bring up in the previous video. That was a thing at Ferris Elite that started in 2009 when G would come out of nowhere and teabag me. I'm not gonna lie, I did not appreciate it whenever I'd get teabagged by everyone, but looking back, I got a laugh. Anyway, so Steve-O was basically having a sit down with his eyes closed, but Clive and Blue told me that he was asleep, or at least they assumed he was asleep, and I got roped into teabagging him while he was asleep. He saw me coming and went, "Don't even think about it." And at first it seemed like an epic fail, but I thought I'd try and get away with it anyway, because his eyes were still shut, so I tried to creep up behind him and try and do it, but it backfired, and then as a result I got pinned and teabagged in the process. And after it was over, I tried to get my own back, so I tried to quickly get behind him and teabag him. It didn't quite work, and I sort of fell on the seats at an awkward angle, and then I got teabagged again, and Timby just ran off, because this was happening right next to him. Funny times. After that, I decided to play my character decks in tournaments, in celebration of the Bonds Beyond Time movie, and it was round about this time where Yu-Gi-Oh's 10th anniversary was being celebrated. And of course, this was a movie that I so badly wanted to see, but had no way of seeing it, of course. But yeah, by that point, I had a Yugi, Jaden, and Yusei character deck. Well, it wasn't a proper Yusei character deck at first. It was my own version of Yusei Fudo Turbo, which was one of Dubbed K Dad's creations. So I made my own version, basically, and that was the first one I played in a tournament. Didn't have great luck, though. I managed to win my first round against a Fortune Lady player with not too many problems, but then everything went downhill from there. I lost against Billsy, who I think was playing Black Wings, and then I lost against Balti with X-Sabers. I don't even remember what my other loss was against, but I know I played against Little Adam in the 5th and final round with Light Swans and lost against him as well. Wait, no, I remember my 4th round. It was against Timby with Glads. A matchup that I didn't want, but I rolled with it. But it did go to a 3rd game. And then I remember there was a point in a duel where I was once again given another wrong ruling. So I special summoned Quick Draw Synchron, and he activated War Chariot, and I was like, wait, I don't think you can, because I'm not activating an effect. But then I was told that it was an effect activation. Um, so, so rather annoyingly, I didn't make a synchro play, so I just played Lightning Vortex to clear the field and try and do something. Didn't make a difference, and I still lost. But then I found out later that yeah, War Chariot actually wouldn't have worked because Quick Draw Synchron's special summoning himself is an inherent special summon, so I could have actually made a synchro play, and it might have made a difference. Well, maybe not much of one, because of the chariot, depending on what synchro I brought out and what effect I tried to use, but even so, it was just really annoying that I was once again given a wrong ruling. So yeah, the following week I tried to go to one and use my Jaden character deck. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it in time because it was snowing heavily and I couldn't get to work on time. I did get there. There wasn't that much to do besides, you know, the normal jobs that I'm supposed to do. So I still managed to get those done and still managed to go off to where the tournament was, but I didn't make it in time to play, which was really frustrating. So what happened instead was a five-way battle royale, and tried to kind of make it like a tournament, and there were prizes up for grabs. I can't remember what first place was, but I remember second place. Actually, it might have been a Prisma that was for the winner, whereas there was a rare Necrogorgon for second place. So I entered it with my Jaden deck. Billsy played Blackwings, Bolty played X-Sabers, Adam, as in Little Adam, played Light Swans, and Gillet was playing a fish deck, more specifically Immortal Fish, where his boss monster was Earthbound Immortal Chaku Chalua. Yeah, it was a lot of fun and pretty chaotic, actually. And I remember Gillett shut down our traps with Raw Decree. Now, what I can't remember is whether or not he got taken out first or whether Billsy did. I'm pretty sure one of them did. Then Bolty went. So it was just me and Adam in the final. And I was so close to decking him out. Now, like I said, I hate deck out strategies, and it's not something I resort to, but I was just trying to hold on, and as well as do some damage with Blade Edge, and hope I could last another turn, but unfortunately I didn't, and he won the whole thing. But I did get Necro Gardener, and I even played that same Necro Gardener, ironically, in my Jaden character deck today. Now, a week later, I entered the next tournament with my Yugi character deck. I think it did a bit better than the other ones. Well, no, actually, technically, my Jaden deck did the best. Maybe the Yugi deck did a little bit better, but yeah, my first three 2 rounds weren't very successful. I lost against Tim B playing a hero deck, which was a mixture of Neos Beatdown and Big City. Then I played against one of the pro players who actually forgot his deck but borrowed Pokemaster Cube's hero deck. That's something else I forgot to mention about 2009. He started making more frequent appearances at tournaments from December 2009 onwards with his Dragon deck. But around about this time, he did have a couple of fun decks as well. One was Heroes, another one was Sacred Beasts. Yeah, I ended up losing against that hero deck, and then I think I lost against Gillet and his macro deck. I think I won my other 2 matches, I'm not sure. It's been a while. Yeah, after that I went back to playing in tournaments with my proper decks, and there was one point where I entered a tournament with my Elemental Hero deck, just to try my luck again, and I managed to make top 8 in this one, but I got pitted against Balti and his X-Sabers. I did manage to take it to a 3rd game, and I was doing quite well. I had him on somewhat low life points. There were, I can't remember what the life point score was, obviously, but I remember he top-decked Brain Control, took my Wild Edge and synced for a Go Guardian and gamed me. Fucking top-deck Brain Control for game. Yeah, that was so annoying back then. Once again, I just got denied a tournament win with Elemental Heroes. So regarding this goal, I decided to take matters into my own hands regarding trying to win a tournament with Elemental Heroes. So at this point, I hit about, I'd reached 400 subscribers and decided to do a fun mini tournament with all my decks. Of course, I only had 8 to work with: Prismagician, Elemental Heroes, Rainbow Neos, Dark Magician Girl, my Yugi, Jaden and Yusei decks. What was the other deck though? I can't remember. I can't for the life of me remember what it was. Was it New Spacians? I'm just drawing a complete blank here. I know I did have some other decks at the time. One of them was Yugi Ritual Turbo. I think I had a Cyber Dragon deck at the time as well. God, it's so hard to remember. I don't know. I know that the Prismagician, Elemental Hero, Rainbow Neos and Dark Magician Girl decks made the top 4. And then Prismagician and Elemental Heroes made the final. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that Billsy actually helped me out with this one and played some of my decks. And in the final, he used the Prismagician deck because he knew how to use that more, whereas I used the Elemental Heroes, and I won. So yes, Elemental Heroes finally won something. Alright, it wasn't a local tournament, but this was the next best thing. I'll take it. So all that was left was the goal of trying to win one with Rainbow Neos. Oh yeah, and round about the same time, me and Billsy also had a feature match as well. Me with Prismagician, him with Black Wings, and I won 2-1. And a week later, I entered with Rainbow Neos, and actually did well for the first time in a while, and I actually made some adjustments which helped it a lot, and I gave it a Neos beatdown engine rather than the stall strategy with Marshmallow and Messenger of Peace that I used to run. So yeah, I was running the deck basically as you've seen me play my Edison format Rainbow Neos deck. Yeah, we were actually well into Edison format round about this time. Yeah, I think my first round was against Code with Monarchs. I lost against him, unfortunately, but I did win against Billsy and his Black Wings. After that, I went up against Blue, who actually came back into the game in December 2009. He played Gravekeepers, but I was able to win against those. And I think I won a match against Gladiator Beasts, which Big Code was using again. So this was a rematch from just about a year and a half before, and I managed to actually win against it. Don't know how I did it. Then I played against Harvey, another old friend of ours, playing his version of Yusei Fudo Turbo. He beat me. However, I was able to make top 8, finally. This was the first time in almost 2 years that I topped with Rainbow Neos. And then I had a very difficult game with Derek in top 8. Yeah, he was playing Black Wings. He managed to beat me in game 1. Game 2, I very nearly lost. Because I know he had Raw Oppression face up, which kind of screwed me a bit. And thinking about it, it was kind of puzzling. Didn't understand why Raw Oppression was in a Blackwing deck, considering it kind of defeats the whole point of their strategy, which is to synchro spam, basically. But hey, I didn't play Blackwings back then, so I wouldn't know how to play them properly in Edison formats. But anyway, despite this, I was able to push forward with what I had available, and I just managed to scrape a win. And then game 3, no Raw Oppression this time, but after a tough game, I was able to win the match and make top 4. Officially making it the furthest I ever got with Rainbow Neos at that time, and I remember Billsy cheering me on and saying, "Come on, Rainbow Neos." And then unfortunately by that point all my camera batteries died, so I couldn't record the rest of my games. But I faced off against Blue again in the top 4. And again, it was a very difficult game, and God, I was so nervous. But I managed to keep my focus and win 2-0. And then I got paired against Balti in the final, and then I bricked. Yeah, once again, I got a really bad hand at the absolute worst time. And game 1, there was just nothing I could do. And I even sided against him and had lots of cards on hand to specifically counter his deck. But unfortunately, not only did I not draw my sided cards, but I fucking bricked again and couldn't do anything, and then lost. Yeah, that was just so shit. Yeah, that really sucked. Just losing against a deck that I hate, and losing only because I bricked. So yeah, yet again, a very good run came to an end, all because I bricked. And yeah, that happened to all 3 of my signature decks round about this time. But still, it was a great run, and then for some reason I decided to stop playing Rainbow Neos again, and then Billsy took ownership of the core. Anyway, sometime after that, I then changed from Prismagician to Spellcasters, because I found that Prismagician was once again not doing as well as I wanted it to. Although that being said, there was a tournament where I did make top 8, and I shouldn't have done, because yeah, at that point I went 2 wins, 2 losses. I played against Blue in the 5th and final round, but I can't remember if he was playing Gravekeepers or his Dark Magician Girl deck, which he brought back. And I can't remember if he either threw the duel or made a misplay that cost him the game, but because of that I was able to win the match and make top 8. And then I got pitted against Charlie again, who had changed from Light Swarms to full power Infernity. This was also around about the time where Infernity actually became meta, and I remember I really struggled against it, and lost rather quickly. And by that point they were becoming very problematic, because yeah, Launcher made it so that they could OTK, whereas Barrier made it so I couldn't do shit, and everything I did got negated, and then that made me hate Infernities, and hate them for a long time, at least until Barrier would get limited, like almost 4 years later. But yeah, before that was when I met my Yugituber friends. Yeah, I managed to get in contact with Emma Blue Eyes, Neo Nexus, and Not All of Light before she became Inkweaver and Ultimate Gamer 31. Yeah, they wondered if I wanted to talk on Skype. So I got Skype installed, and yeah, Emma Blue Eyes was the first person I ever spoke to on Skype. I don't remember if we duelled during our first encounter. It's hard to say. Then Neonexodus became the second person I ever spoke to on Skype. Then Not Too Lord of Light became the third, and Ultimate Gamer 31 became the fourth. And I remember the first time I played against Ultimate Gamer, he brought a Blue Eyes White Dragon deck up against my Prismagician deck, and there was one point where he was on low life points, and I had a Prisma on the field, and he got out a Blue Eyes White Dragon, attacked into it, and I dropped Honest, much to his horror, which had Notu bursting out laughing. Oh, that was awesome. Yeah. And the night before that tournament where I topped with Prismagician and faced off against Infernities, I had a Yugituber feature match with Emma Blue Eyes 10. And of course, yeah, she was famous for playing Blue Eyes White Dragon as well, like, hence the username. And I remember doing quite well to start off with, mainly thanks to Brianak, and I remember mispronouncing it back then. I used to call it Broniak. But hey, give me a break here. Some Yu-Gi-Oh names are hard to pronounce. But ultimately she won against me. Anyway, after that tournament, I decided to change from Prismagician to generic spellcasters. As like I said, I shouldn't have topped anyway in that tournament, and I didn't feel Prismagician was working out for me anymore. So yeah, I played generic spellcasters, which actually proved to be a pretty good deck. And I was able to win like 1 or 2 battle royales with Billsy and Derek. So yeah, that was all good, and I couldn't wait to play it in a tournament. But unfortunately, I wouldn't get a chance to at the earliest opportunity that I could, because I had to swap my day off for that week. Oh yeah, I must also point out that during March, my day off was switched from Friday to Saturday, as one of the people working there had left, and I was given the opportunity to have Saturdays off. Shame I couldn't get Sunday off as well, but I was thankful that I could at least have Saturdays off. But yeah, I had to work that Saturday, unfortunately. But I was able to turn up about halfway through the tournament, and I remember Gillett offered me his place in the tournament, and we made an agreement that if I won the whole thing, I would give him the prize, which I was happy to agree with. So I took his place. Oh yeah, and nobody else had a problem with this, by the way. And I remember winning against Billsy, who was playing a different version of Teledad. Obviously not quite the same as full power Teledad, but but yeah, it was still a version he was playing at the time nonetheless. And I did make top 8, and rather annoyingly I lost against Ethan playing Monarchs. And I remember losing the match because Caius banished my Stardust Dragon. Fucking Caius. Yeah, it was annoying, but at least I topped. And at least it wasn't Dark Magician getting banished. That would have really annoyed me. But you know that already. And a week later, I decided to enter with Neos Beatdown. Of course, the problem was at the start I was really hungover because the night before I was celebrating my birthday with my friends. I had a birthday party the day after my birthday, and I got absolutely smashed, and ended up passing out in the back garden. And I remember regaining consciousness at about 4 in the morning on the floor of the lounge. I think the others must have put me on the sofa, and I must have rolled off it while I was unconscious. And I remember staggering up to bed, then waking up 4 hours later with a banging headache. But I quickly cleaned up all the same, despite not feeling great. And I still decided to go along to the tournament anyway, because I so badly wanted to play my Neos Beatdown deck and see how I'd fare. And I wasn't going to let a hangover stop me. And the funny thing is, I felt much better when I got there and then did very well. I don't remember a lot about my matchups, but I remember playing against Seb twice with zombies, once in the Swiss, and then again in top 8, which I made. And yeah, he beat me both times. What other notable things are there? Yeah, after that I decided to play my Jaden and Yugi decks in tournaments again, because I wanted to give my Jaden deck a proper go in tournaments again, but I remember not doing very well, as expected. I remember one loss was against Derek, I think with Black Wings. But I did, however, win against Code, who was playing something with Light and Darkness Dragon, but I managed to get a win over him. Then after that, I played my Yugi deck in a tournament and started off really well. I played against Pokemaster Cube's brother, Martin, playing a warrior deck, but I managed to beat that with not too many problems. But I think I lost the rest of my games. I lost against Aliens, played by Steve-O. And I don't remember who else I lost against, but yeah, it was unfortunate that I didn't do very well with the Yugi deck again. Then after that, there was an insane request that Blue made, which was have all of my decks play in a massive battle royale. And there were quite a few decks that I had. I had BES in the mix, Rainbow Neos, which I reacquired off Billsy because I really missed playing that deck, but he agreed to sorted out back to me. And there was also a deck called Diamond Dude Snail, which was meant to be a badly built version of Diamond Dude Turbo. Now, the name of it comes from a joke that Ed once made about my Diamond Dude Turbo deck. Because during that tournament, a couple of years before, where I played Diamond Dude Turbo, like, everyone else had finished before me and my opponent, and were just waiting around. And then he called my deck Diamond Dude Snail, but I was like, shut up. But then, just for a joke, I made a badly built version of it, with random monsters like Fortress Warrior, and I remember it being summoned and Seb being like, for God's sake. Oh yeah, and big shout out to those who helped me out with this request, by the way. Timby, Davies, Balty, Billsy, Seb. Who else helped me out with it? I think that was it, wasn't it? Yeah, and some of us had to use multiple decks at the same time. Oh yeah, Majestic Star Dragon was in the mix, and so was Hopeless Anime Dragon. Yeah, Hopeless Anime Dragon was something inspired by both Hopeless Dragon and a Hopeless Blue Eyes deck, which an old Yugituber Umbreon from the Shadow came up with. And a little earlier that year, I wanted to make something similar. So yeah, it was Hopeless Dragon, but based on not just Blue Eyes, but other dragons from the anime, hence the name. So it had Blue Eyes, Red Eyes, and all the sign of dragons. And it worked really well. Anyway, me and Timby were left. He was on my Majestic Star Dragon deck, and I had Junk Warrior on the field, and I was using my Yugi deck, and I think I drew into Brain Control, took Junk Warrior, and attacked the game. Yeah, fucking Brain Control. Oh yeah, and round about this time, I'd hit 500 subscribers, so I decided to do another subscriber mini tournament with help from Billsy. And this time, my Neos Wise Man deck won it. Yeah, that was another deck I think that was thrown in. Yeah, now Neos Wise Man was something something I planned to build like earlier in the year, and I was finally able to, able to put it together, but it wasn't easy. In fact, I did play it in a tournament like a month before, just to see how I did. And I actually did win one match. I don't remember who it was against, though. But I do remember I lost all my other games, but it was fine. Again, I had a good time. So yeah, you're probably wondering, how the hell did Neos Wise Man win? It was mainly luck, I guess. One of the matchups was against the Jaden character deck, and another one I think was against my Yugi deck. I may have encountered Neospatians as well, so yeah, it had some easy matchups, and then it won against Rainbow Neos, piloted by Billsy, Well, meanwhile, Hopeless Anime Dragon took out Elemental Heroes in the semi-finals. Yeah, the champs were beaten. So the final was Neos Wise Man and Hopeless Anime Dragon, and the way Neos Wise Man was won was because we kind of overlooked Neos Wise Man's burn effect fully. I mean, so there was a point in the duel where Five-Headed Dragon came out and attacked over Neos Wise Man, and it was assumed that Hopeless Anime Dragon won, but it was pointed out that Neos Wise Man's burn effect activates when it's attacked, as well as when it attacks. So, which meant that Hopeless Anime Dragon actually lost, and Neos Wise Man won the whole thing. God, so crazy. And that was the first time that Hopeless Anime Dragon lost a match. Because before, when I built it, it went undefeated in every single game I had with it. Speaking of big monsters, I just remembered something that happened in the spring that year. I had my Neo-Spacian deck and played against Bill Z playing Rainbow Neos, and there was a point where he summoned 2 of them on turn 1, which was just nuts. And it's a moment that me and him never forget. So he summoned Prisma, revealed Rainbow Neos, sent Neos, played Poly, fused Prisma as Neos with Rainbow Dragon, and made Rainbow Neos, and then he played Poly and fused and summoned another Rainbow Neos. I was like, what? And then I turned to Derek and I was like, Derek, are you seeing this? He just summoned 2 Rainbow Neoses on his first turn. Yeah, it was unheard of back then. Because, yeah, keep in mind, this was long before Neos Fusion existed. After that was another successful tournament with Prismagician. Oh yeah, I ended up switching back from Spellcasters to Prismagician. Now don't get me wrong, Spellcasters were good and enjoyable, but Dark Magician wasn't being summoned enough, and I missed having a deck solely focused on him. So I gave Prismagician another chance, and actually did really well. And I remember I finally got a win over Little Adam, who was playing a mixture of Light Swans and X-Sabers, which was interesting, but it was great to finally win against him after always losing against him. And I lost against Luke Rushton playing something, don't remember what, and then I beat Plater playing Ally of Justice, although there was one point where I almost lost against him, because I remember what happened was I had like Dark Magician and something else out, and I think he special summoned Cyber Dragon, activated costs down, and normal summoned that normal level 5 Ally of Justice monster with no tributes, which is also a tuner, and he synchro summoned Red Dragon Archfiend and attacked over Dark Magician, and I was stuck behind that for a turn or two, but I was able to make a comeback and win the whole thing. And then I played against Balti and X-Sabers. I think it went to a third game, and I remember holding him off with Raw Oppression. It was a card I wasn't keen on, but at the time I was side decking it, but I only used it against Glads and X-Sabers, because yeah, they were really annoying decks. And I sided Raw Oppression to specifically counter them. I wasn't able to get off a lot of plays though. Like I was trying to do as much damage as I could. So it was kind of frustrating, but at least I was stopping him spam out a bunch of X-Saber monsters and OTK me and hand loop me until he drew into Heavy Storm and played it. And I tried to negate it with Starlight Road, and then he used my own Raw Oppression against me, and he said pay 500 to negate it, but I was like, you can't, I'm not choosing to special summon Stardust Dragon. But he insisted that he could still use it anyway, so a judge was called over, and it was ruled that even if I don't special summon Stardust Dragon, Raw Oppression can still negate Starlight Road, because it still has an effect that includes special summoning a monster. That was just so infuriating. I mean, even to this day, I think that ruling is fucking bullshit and completely unfair. Like, it shouldn't work like that if I'm choosing not to special summon Stardust Dragon. Of course, not that it matters anymore, because Raw Oppression is banned now. But, yeah, Heavy Storm just really hurt me, and I lost the match because of it. Absolute bullshit. But I still made top 8, so I couldn't complain, and I got pitted against Charlie with Infernities again. And I lost a game 1 against him, but I was able to almost win game 2, because he got out Dark Dragon, which at the time was only available as a Shonen Jump prize card. And he was one of the lucky few to own one. And I managed to synchro summon Goyo Guardian and take control of it, and like, I was just really hyped and excited that I had control of a Shonen Jump prize card. But unfortunately he was able to overwhelm my board and win the match, but still, it was so exciting. Yeah, also, round about this time, just before, I then met Jinrai Prime, who was Emma Blue Eyes 10's other half, and then I also met Kalo Shade, another Yugituber, friend of Emma's, and then we all started meeting and hanging out on Skype, even Darkness L 1989, and we would have so many discussions about Yu-Gi-Oh! That Kalo Shade decided to start a podcast, which, as long-time viewers will remember, was the Kalo's Conference podcast. So he hosted that, and the rest of us were all co-hosts, and I can proudly say that I'm the only co-host who was in every single episode. Yeah, even when there were times where I thought I couldn't make it to the episode, I still made it. That's how dedicated I was. Although, to be fair, it wasn't easy for the other members to be in every single episode. I mean, they did have their reasons, of course. Oh yeah, and another friend of Kalo's, the Cryotech, was in a lot of the earlier episodes as well. And then eventually Max Bilsey, who joined us, so first we made it weekly, then we made it fortnightly to try and make it easier for everyone. Anyway, after that tournament, I went away to France for a couple of weeks, and then the September 2010 ban list came into effect. And Infernities did get hit. The launcher went to 1, but that didn't even make a lick of difference. It was still near impossible to defeat. Rescue Cat got banned as well at the time because of X-Sabers and Glads, and I was hoping this would stop them and slow them down drastically. Unfortunately, it didn't. And I do remember this was when Raw Oppression got limited, which I had mixed feelings about. I mean, on one hand, it was kind of frustrating that I only had one to work with to stop Glads and Sabers, so I just stopped playing it because I didn't see much point. But at the same time, it was a great thing because, well, nobody likes Raw Oppression. Fuck that card. Of course, unfortunately, we had to put up with it for another year. Oh yeah, and Heavy Storm was banned as well, which was interesting. And it was quite funny because Starlight Road saw a bit less play, despite Black Rose going back to 3 and Dark Hole being unbanned, but not a lot of players were prepared for Dark Magic Attack. So, to me, it didn't matter that I lost Heavy Storm. I still had Dark Magic Attack for mass back row removal. Now, unfortunately, round about this time, Blue ended up quitting Porch Pigeon for life and the game again, and this was over a misunderstanding with a binder that the team had. It's kind of a long, complicated story, don't really want to get into it, but with him gone, it was decided that I should be in charge of Porch Pigeon for life. Made sense because I was the oldest member and had the most experience. And at that point it was me, Billsy, Timby, Davies, Gillett, Code, I think that was it, wasn't it? Maybe Bradley, this little friend of Billsy's. I don't think Derek was on the team anymore for some reason. G and Callum weren't for some reason. That was another thing. Because by that point Tobias had moved away somewhere, I think, or stopped playing for a while. Whereas Russ, Spiky Paul and Jonesy just seemed to disappear. whereas it felt like Clive, Steve-O and Shaggy Dave would turn up like once in a blue moon, and so would Starren. But of course G was still around. Anyway, in any case, I was put in charge of Porch Pigeon for life. I think it was safe to say that Max was kind of the second in command. In fact, I remember when Blue was still in the team and running things, I was kind of the second in command as well. But yeah, with him gone, I was just automatically promoted. So yeah, I was in charge of running things in the team. Yeah. So I'd continue to play Prismagician in tournaments. Didn't play Rainbow Neos very frequently, despite the fact that I had the deck again. There was one point where I played Sky Scourge Karibo in a tournament, a deck which I made back in 2008, and then rebuilt round about this time, and rebuilt my Alien deck as well. But there was a tournament where I played my Sky Scourge Karibo deck. It was a Sunday one though, but because I had to work half the day, I had to get automatic game losses in the first 2 rounds. Yeah, when I arrived, I still managed to play 3 matches, but only one of which I won, and that was against Express Gaming again. Again playing the Yusei Synchro deck thing. I was quite surprised that I won that, to be honest. Then I lost against one of the competitive players, despite the fact that I stalled him with Karibo and Winged Karibo. And then I lost against a guy playing a random burn deck, which was really annoying, especially where there was one point where I got screwed by Darkness Neosphere. I tried to attack a Fiend monster with Winged Karibo and drop an Honest, but then it was tagged out for Dark Necrofear, which I couldn't get over. I mean, he did attack into the Winged Karibo and I dropped Honest, but of course Darkness Neosphere can't be destroyed by battle. And then it went to time and I lost on end of match procedure. Yeah, that was such fucking bullshit. It's losing to A random deck, and B, a burn deck. Oh, it didn't matter though. I still enjoyed the event for what it was. And also during this time I was doing better in tournaments with Prismagician again, and I was topping, and there was one point where I did make top 4 again for the first time in 2 years with that deck, but still lost. But rather annoyingly, a lot of my losses were because I bricked. That was the only reason. I think I was just considering just not playing Prismagician again. But before that, there was a tournament where I played Rainbow Neos and once again tried my luck at winning a tournament with it. didn't go very well though. I lost against Glads in the first round, played by Felix. Then I lost against an anti-meta deck, played by his brother Conrad. I think that was the order. Then I lost my other two games. Don't remember who they were against, but I remember I got pitted against Billsy, who by that point was playing Infernities, much to my dismay, because I still didn't like playing against them back then. That being said, I did get very lucky against him. I don't think I got stopped by barrier once, and I won game 1, and then game 2, I did something quite mean. I sided not Imperial Iron, Royal Decree against him, in the hope that I can shut down those barriers before they get activated. But I think he went first, but he didn't seem to have any Infernity barriers on hand. But I had Royal Decree in my opening hand, and then on his next end phase I flipped it over, and then it was smooth sailing from that point onwards. I don't think he appreciated it, but yeah, I had to do it, because otherwise barrier would just stop me playing. So yeah, shame I didn't do very well, but at least I won one match. And then after that, I gave up on Prismagician, and then this was when one of my greatest decks ever was born, Legendary Hero. This was an idea that me, not a Lord of Light, and Ultimate Gamer 31 came up with. Now, we talked about it in a Skype call, and they asked me if it was possible to play Dark Magician and Elemental Hero Neos in the same deck. And at first I said no, but then I thought, wait, actually it might work, because they do have similar generic support. They're both normal monsters, they can both be milled off Prisma, they can both be revived with Swing of Memories and Birthright. So I thought maybe it was possible. And I wanted to find a way to play Stardust Dragon as well. So, yeah. I figured playing a hero deck of some kind was the best way to do it. But trying to run some appropriate synchro material to go into Stardust wasn't easy. But nevertheless, come the end of October that year, Legendary Hero was born. Oh yeah, and also during this time was when I first met Scapegoat User, also through Emma Blue Eyes 10. So he joined our circle of friends. And yeah, unfortunately, during the first 3 tournaments where I played Legendary Hero, I just didn't do very well at all. It was just too bricky, and there were too many situational cards, and there were so many opportunities where I could have made Elemental Hero the Shining, but it wasn't out in the TCG yet. I mean, at that point, the only Omni Elemental Heroes we had were Absolute Zero and Gaia, so that wasn't a lot to work with. And I forgot to mention that this deck was a fusion of Prismagician Elemental Heroes and Rainbow Neos. I figured this was the easiest way to do it. Of course, originally I didn't have a way to summon Rainbow Neos, but I did have my Rainbow Dragon sided, so I could go into it. Then I had Yugituber feature matches with a Scapegoat User and Ultimate Gamer 31, but sadly lost against them. And I believe at the time Scapegoat User was playing Machina Gadget, while Ultimate Gamer was playing Blue Eyes. But I remember before changing to Legendary Hero, I had a feature match with Notto Lord of Light, where he did 2-0 me, but not only did he 2-0 me, he used Kaiku to banish 2 of my Dark Magicians. That was just mean. I didn't forgive him for that. Well, not yet anyway. There would be a match later on, of course, where I'd get my revenge. Anyway, come December, I was just about ready to give up on Legendary Hero. It just wasn't working. So I decided to stop playing it temporarily until I could get the other Omni Elemental Heroes, including the Shining. However, Margin Sage of Darkness, another Rainbow Neos player, then inspired me to keep the deck going. And he gave me a lot of help and advice with it, and even gave me the idea of running a Debris Dragon in the deck. Which would allow me to synchro summon Stardust Dragon a lot easier. And then Billsy also gave me the idea of playing Gungnir, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, because King of the Swamp could actually be special summoned off Debris Dragon. So, yeah, I could actually sync for Gungnir. I did also have Black Rose Dragon as well, but at least I had a more versatile extra deck. And it just ran so much better, and I was winning more games with it, including a feature match I had with Margin Sage of Darkness. So I used Legendary Hero, he used Rainbow Neos. Shame I couldn't summon Dark Magician against him. The closest thing I did summon was Dark Paladin, but he activated Torrential Tribute on it. However, I was able to finish him off with Elemental Heroes Absolute Zero and Shining Flare Wingman. And yeah, oh, one other thing about 2010 I forgot to mention was that I also, through Skype, also met Emma Blue Eyes 10's sister, Heavenly Guinea Pig. I don't think I had any games with her yet, but she would sit with Emma Blue Eyes and watch our Skype games. And yeah, that's 2010 in a nutshell. I swear this is a longer episode than the 2008 one. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all there is to talk about. There was more to talk about than I thought. Boy, I can talk sometimes. Anyway, thanks for watching this part, and stay tuned for 2011. Catch you later. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Dark Richician YouTube channel.